Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different for this video today, and I'm going to be posting it in multiple places. So for some of you, this might make sense, and for some of you, this might be feel a little bit weird. But I want to talk a little bit about some different forms of therapy that people can use versus just talk therapy. So instead of just coming in and sitting and talking to a counselor, therapist, I use them interchangeably. There's some other ways. So I was going to show you what sand tray therapy looks like, and that doesn't have to involve a whole lot of talking. But I've had a lot of people that have been interested in it and wanting more information, so I figured I would share that. Now, sand tray can also be used virtually, so you don't have to be able to come into the office. There is a program where you can do it through the computer. So it is something that you can do via telehealth as well. And taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. They are all connected. If we're not taking care of the stressors that are impacting our emotions and our mind, and just focusing on the stressors that are impacting our body, we're missing a really important piece. So technology is not my best friend. So I'm going to try to make this so that everybody can see without messing up the picture here. Okay, so over here is my shelf of figures. I do have another one that I'll show you, but I just have a shelf full of, I'll try to kind of get in there, a bunch of different figures, some people, animals there, some fantasy figures. I'm gonna move something out of the way here. So all of these shelves are different figures that use for sand tray, and then here is the actual sand tray. So this is a rolling cart and sand. So it's literally a tray of sand. And then here's some more over here. There's some more people there, some houses, and so how this works is, try not to make you dizzy here. When a person comes in, what we do is open the sand tray here, and they choose the figures that they're drawn to. So they'll go over here, choose some figures, and then put them in the sand. And then we just explore kind of what those figures mean. They can represent something. The representation can be pretty obvious if it's, say, you know, a family, or there's a cell phone there. So then we can kind of tell what those things are going to be. And then if they want to explain what they are, we'll go through that. If they do not, then that's okay too. It still works whether the person talks very much at all. And then we work through things that way. So watching things change in the sand, how things change in the mind. I'm not going to go through the whole process of how that all works, but it's very powerful, moving stuff around in the sand, changing what goes in and what comes out, shifts things in the mind so that we see things differently. If you think about the way that the brain develops, very young children, well, even not so young children, the way that they process the world around them is through play. So if you watch, say, like a 3 or a 4-year-old, you might see them playing out things that they've heard other people say or experiences that they have. Like, think about kids playing house or playing school. They're processing their environment, things that have happened in their life. This is what kids do in play therapy. They come in and they play out stressful things in their life, and that's how they work through things. That part of the brain develops before the part of the brain where we talk through things and problem solve and reason. So when we're coming in and doing talk therapy, traditional therapy, we're accessing that part of the brain that develops last. Going into something that's a little bit more playful, accesses deeper parts of the brain, and we can get at things that maybe there are barriers, maybe there are walls up. When we're talking, and not just because people are afraid to talk about it, but sometimes the mind just won't actually let them go there. So our minds are pretty incredible and will protect us from things that are too difficult. So using something that's a little bit more playful, and this is not sitting and like playing fantasy and imaginary play. It's not like that. So adults have really loved this. Teenagers have really loved this. but it accesses that earlier part of the brain and can bypass some of the defenses. Defenses still come in. That's normal. Everybody has them. But another thing that we do with sand tray therapy is we use the defenses. So defenses aren't considered a bad thing. They are considered helpful, and we just bring them into the tray. So if a defense that I have is to withdraw inside of myself and be quiet and pull away, maybe something that might symbolize that would be, say, a turtle. Turtles withdraw into themselves and hide. So we would bring something like that into the tray. This defense is coming in. We're going to just put it there. We're going to recognize that it's there and why it's there, and see if there's a way that we can get it to back off. Maybe we need to do something to help it feel comfortable. We could shift it a little bit, or maybe there's something we can do to get it to come out completely. But there's a lot of steps involved in being able to allow a defense to back off a little bit, just like there would be in therapy. People don't come in and share their entire lives. We have to work through the defenses that come up for people before they can get to that point. So sand tray is a very nice way to access those things and get at things that are maybe harder to talk about, scary to talk about, without having to talk about them. But all of it happens in the mind. I don't have to know what all of the things mean in order for it to work and be helpful. So this is actually, when I'm using sand tray, it is EMDR. So I'm using sand tray for EMDR, which is a form of therapy that accesses the connections in the brain. And you don't have to talk a whole lot. So it's just another strategy within that method. So if you have been considering therapy and are afraid to talk about things, don't want anybody to know the stuff that's happening inside of your mind, which is what a lot of people say when they come in. That is a fear for, I would say, most people coming in. You don't have to. There are ways to access that and to get help for the things that are going on for you without you having to share everything. Another thing that does happen very often for people is when they start getting into this, the defenses come down and then they feel more comfortable talking about it. So it is a way to be seen. It is a way to be understood without having to explain everything. So if you've been considering getting some counseling, I encourage you to reach out. It doesn't have to be to myself. It doesn't have to be to another local provider, but I would be very happy to help you find somebody, just so you can heal physically as well as mentally and emotionally and take care of the whole person.